I'm ready.
I'm ready too, and we're live. Give me a sec. Setting
Perfect. People love dogs.
right, setting up your done redirecting to Facebook Live page, and I think it worked.
Yeah, it looks like it
Yeah,
says meeting is
meeting.
now streaming live on Facebook.
Woo! Hello, everybody. Okay, so welcome to Lisa McInnes Mortgages, Verico Paragon Mortgage Inc. I've kind of alluded to a couple of things that I'm working on, some fun stuff to give you more value from me. One of the things I've been wanting to do, and it took me a little while to figure out how I wanted to do it, was to bring you some videos that maybe aren't mortgage related, but will still help you in your everyday life. There are, of course, going to be mortgage related videos as well, so you can stay tuned for that. I'm going to give a disclaimer right now. If the dogs are barking in the background, please forgive me. They like to be noisy. So anyways, I have Matt McLean from PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. Did I say that right?
You did, yeah. PMA coaching.
Perfect. I have actually been working with Matt now for about what, 6 months? 7 months?
That, yeah.
And yeah, time flies when we're having fun. And it really has been. It's been a lot of fun working with you. So I've really enjoyed it. And I thought for my first video, why not start on a happy note and how to stay positive in, let's just, what we're all going through right now, because I
Let's
know,
call it out. It's COVID. Nobody wants to talk about it, but how do we stay positive?
yeah, right. So I know if I wasn't with your group, that I would probably have a much different mental mindset right now. So even just the little tidbits that you can give an audience in say 5-10 minutes, that will be all the help in the world. So I'm going to let you take it away, Matt. How to stay positive.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you. And you're right, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Having a positive attitude is so important. It is so very important. And we've seen this through what we've all been experiencing here over the last 9-10 months of everything that's been going on. It's been wild. It's been a wild, wild ride. But I'll go back to kind of my first journey and why my company's called PMA Coaching, Positive Mental Attitude, because it was really the first thing that I learned inside of my journey for personal development and business development and professional development. And it changed my life literally. Essentially, I was down, I was out, I was broke, I was miserable, I was sick all the time. And I wasn't as nice as I am today. I just wasn't that person. But I didn't like myself for it. So I'd read a book in the personal development realm, and it talked about attitude and how attitude of gratitude and attitude of expectancy and attitude of all these different things. And it really started to resonate with me because I was tired. I don't know, there's so many people like me out there that you're probably just tired of beating yourself up and feeling the way that you're feeling and not being happy with where you are right now. And what dawned on me was I didn't need anything to make that mental shift to feel better about myself. I didn't need more money. I didn't need a nicer house. I didn't need a nicer car. What I needed to do was repair the relationship with myself and really start talking to myself in a positive way and changing my internal language inside of my mind. And that's what this book started to do for me. And, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the book because it was the first one I read, but I read it in an entire night. I couldn't put it down. And I started to apply the principles and I started to talk to myself a little bit better. I started to say, I am awesome. I am lovable. I am great. I am successful. And when I started doing that, it was like, you start to become your own best friend. And I think it's so important for us all to do that because it's so easy to get carried away. And, we're seeing, you know, social media saying, all these things are happening and all these people are losing employment and, suicide rates and stuff are going up. And it's so easy to get caught up in external forces that we let it penetrate our mind in the way that we think. So the very first thing I started doing was really just starting to talk to myself better and started to adapt and develop a different perception on things, right? If we look at law of polarity, with a negative, there's a positive, right? So we have to learn how to, okay, if something bad is happening right now, what is the good side of it? Because there's always going to be a negative or a positive. It also goes the same for a positive. There's also a negative. So we almost have to invite someone into our life to be able to experience the positive. And we started to really realize this, apply these things in my life, and it started changing the things that were happening. My income went up. I started feeling better about myself. I see my internet connection is unstable, so I hope I'm not breaking up, but I'm not going to let it get to me. Um, all these things started to happen. And then what I noticed was people started to interact with me different. And I'm thinking, this is very interesting, right? Like, because I was feeling better as an individual, people started to like me more. They started to make me feel better more. They made me feel more important. So what it really came down to is I had to feel important about myself, right? I had to give myself permission and consent to say I'm a pretty awesome person, right? And when I did that, everything started to change, right? People started to interact with me differently. I started getting promotions. I started to see things in a different light. I was able to help more people, even in the industries I was in. I was always in a service-based industry. And the first thing I did while I was, was I had, an old desk style phone, and I took a business card and I wrote PMA in Sharpie on it. This is before I had my business, before I did any of this. And I highlighted the card yellow with black Sharpie, and I taped it to the receiver of my phone because the industry I was in, people were calling me because something was broken, right? So they were spending money on something they were already spending money on, or they were being inconvenienced. So I knew when I picked up that phone, I had to be in the best mindset possible to be able to help that person. So that was like the very first step that I had taken, this constant reminder, because it's easy, but we can't let the simplicity fool us because we have to make a decision every single day to love ourselves, to be the best possible version of ourselves, to treat the people around us the best that we possibly can, to give them the best of us, no matter what they're going through at that point in time. So I had to realize that the people that were calling me, they were frustrated, right? When you deal with people's money, you deal with their family, you deal with a lot of emotion. And enable for me to be the best version of myself, to be able to help people, I had to make sure that I had a positive mental attitude every time I picked up the phone. Now, this was so cool because what had happened is I was a new guy inside of an industry and I was working with people that had been in this industry for 20 years. And all of a sudden, one day I had the owner come to me and he said, "What are you doing? Like, are you feeding people drugs when they come in the door?" And I'm like, "I'm scared," right? I'm like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?" He's like,
Something.
"Right? You realize you have the highest sales out of anybody in this drive through and you're the least experienced. Like, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I know what I was doing better. I was not depressed anymore, right? I was feeling better about myself, and people were interacting with me differently. But I didn't realize that I had doubled the sales of like their top guy out of the gate, and so this didn't make sense to me. And then he heard on my phone, and he's like, "What's that?" Well, people are calling set me on something that they're already paying for. I used to be a service advisor, so I was booking work orders and talking to people when their car broke, right? So that's an emotional time. When you're on the side of the road -20 and your tire's flat or your car's not starting, you're not happy. You're inconvenienced, right? So the person on the other end of the phone usually gets the brunt of it. And I understood that to a certain extent. And and he looked at me and he says, "Wow." He says, "That's really cool." He says, "How would you like to go into our sales department?" And I was like, no, I'm good. No, I don't want to. And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "You would earn way more money." And I said, "No, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing." And it took him about 2 months to convince me to go into sales, but I was scared to do it. Um, so then I told him, I said, "Listen, I will work from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. in service, and I'll work 6 p.m. till 9, only talk to my service customers." Well, I did that for a couple months and I was very successful at doing it because I adapted the same attitude, right? Positive attitude of looking at the positive in everything. And really, and we can have another discussion about them, but I became very successful doing that, working sales 3 hours a day. And then I called the owner one day and I said, "Hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I want my old job back. I just want to be a service guy." And he was devastated. He was like, "What do you mean? Like, you're doing so well?" And I said, "Yeah, it's not really about the money. Like, I enjoy my job and I want to be there. And I'm spending a lot of time here." And he's like, "Well, what if I put you into management?" And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." Right. So I actually went back to my service advisor job and I just worked there and I was very happy with it because I had done so much personal growth and I had come from a spot, a family of abuse and alcoholism and drug usage and things, which a lot of people, I just realized there's a lot of people that grew up like me. And here's the thing: we get to a certain level in life, and then it's our responsibility to fix what our parents couldn't do for us. They gave us what they could, right? So I had to have a new attitude on that. And it was really just I got to stop living this sob story of all these things that happened to me, right? Because they happen to a lot of other people too, and much worse scenarios. But really, my business came out of that thought. And what it was I went, wow, I was in a really bad, dark place. But it was all because of me and the way that I was thinking and my attitude. So, attitude is such a powerful thing to understand because we control it.
We
Nobody else controls our attitude. We make that choice, right? We make that choice of how our attitude is going to be today. And it's a decision we make every day. Um, so I started to realize that there was a lot of people like me. And I started to feel selfish because I had been my life better, improving, and I was earning more money. And I felt really, really, really good about myself. And I said, I felt selfish because it was such a simple concept. And I knew there were so many people suffering the way I was. So I knew I had to bring this to the world. I had to start talking to people about the changes, right? The things that they could do inside of life to be able to feel better about themselves, because that's where it starts. And, even to this day, even in the last few months with everything going on in the world, I realized that the number one relationship that needs my attention is the one I have with myself. We talk to ourselves more than we talk to anybody else in a day. So we better be saying nice things, right? And you see, these things that we think about, these thoughts, they have emotional charges attached to them and they get sunk into the subconscious mind and they become habits. So if we have a habit of beating ourselves up, we get emotional about that. We feel bad. It sinks into the subconscious mind. It gets locked in there because the subconscious mind doesn't care if it's a good or bad thought. If there's emotion attached to it and you think about it long enough, it'll program your mind to seek what you're thinking about. right? So what happens is as you start changing your attitude and you start changing the internal dialect inside of your mind, you start impressing all these thoughts onto the subconscious mind. And what happens through the day is they'll percolate back up, right? We have, I think they say 50,000 thoughts. I'm no scientist. I'm not a smart guy who writes books and stuff like that. But I'm somebody who's experienced this throughout my life, and I've seen countless others. And that's what we do inside of PMA coaching is we really work with the mind to get the results we want, right? We work with the primary cause of results. We change these things called paradigms that are, thoughts, that are habits, that are all these things that get locked inside of us. And when we look at it, 96 to 98% of our day is spent unconsciously doing things. Perceptions, our behaviors, our results, they all happen unconsciously. And it's because we've allowed ourselves to use the language we've been using to program to go on with the results that we get. And you start being nice to yourself and you start supporting yourself and you start doing these things that make you feel better and take some, right? And a decision every day to do that, to love yourself and to do these things, everything will start to change in your life. If you just do that one thing, that's why attitude is so important. So, further on down the road, I started getting coaches and mentors to really, because I was really interested in this. Like, why am I changing? And I'm giving my friends these books that I'm reading and they're not changing. Like, what's going on here? What is it? So I started hiring mentors and coaches and my mentor, my friend, Bob Proctor, he told me, he says, Matt, he says, attitude is like a cake mix. It's composed of three different things. It's your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And that shows you where your attitude is by your results, right? Because your actions create results. So you can take a look at your results in life right now and go, if they're good, you probably have a good attitude. If they're bad, you probably have a bad attitude. And that can be a tough pill to swallow sometimes, because sometimes we look outside of us of why things aren't working, why they aren't going our way, why we don't have the things in us and our attitude. Person said cause and effect was the law of laws, right? With every cause, there's an effect. And every action that we put out, there's an effect, right? It comes back to us. So if we're putting out good, we're taking good on. If we're putting out bad, we're getting that back. So, again, it comes down to our way of thinking about ourselves, our attitude, and the way that we look at things, perception. So what were some of the things that I did to change my attitude? Well, the very first thing, and it sounds so corny, and I used to have a hard time just saying the word of a gratitude list, right? Like, hey, you got to write a gratitude list to feel better. I thought I was a manly man. I don't want to talk about gratitude lists and stuff like this, but it was so funny because even in the first couple of years of in business, knowing that this works, it still felt so weird to say, hey, if you write a gratitude list every morning about the things that you're grateful for, you will feel better. You will raise your vibration. You'll feel better. You'll change your attitude. And, it seems so corny, but it works, right?
Yeah,
It works. Like it does work, doesn't it, Lisa?
it does. It does. Even if you're having an issue in the past, and like what you taught me, it's be thankful for the lessons that you've learned from that issue. So that's how I got through my little bout that I had. I consistently wrote, thank you for the lessons that I've learned.
Yeah. And it happened pretty quick, didn't it?
It did. It really.
And I think that's what a lot of people miss. They think it can be so hard. Well, if you expect it to be hard, that's an attitude.
Yeah.
Right? You're expecting, and it's going to be hard. But if you expect immediate and you expect to feel better, that's an attitude as well. And you're going to have that.
For sure.
Right. So I noticed after a couple of weeks a real big shift. And then you don't really notice it. You stop. And then you start to notice, hey, I'm not feeling the way I was feeling a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
What changed? Oh, I didn't do my gratitude list over the last couple of days. right? Then I got into I am statements, right? This is like building self confidence because that will change your attitude as well. And I am amazing. I'm beautiful. I am lovable. And saying all these I am statements over and over and over, it's like telling yourself a lie until you believe it, right? The subconscious mind can't differentiate between fantasy. And the more you impress upon it, and it seems illogical, like, why am I writing this every day? The same thing over and over and over again. But the more you impress onto the subconscious mind through the day, and just kind of keeps you going, keeps you at the level of gratitude of, feeling good about yourself. So I am statements were so powerful. Then I really got into what we call self image. And I think self image is one thing that we overlook, right? And what is self image? Well, we all have an image of ourselves inside of us, right? And that image that we hold inside, we project to the outside world of who we are, what we're capable of, what our worth is, right? But who's anybody to tell me who my worth is? But I've spent years and years and years growing up trying to fit in, right? Trying to fit in, trying to conform to the masses, trying to have friends, have people that like me. So we change ourselves slightly so people like us, right? And then all of a sudden we get this hint of inspiration that we want to let something out of us, and we don't do it because we're scared to be criticized, right? We're scared that people will laugh at us. We're scared that they're going to make fun of us. We're scared that they're not going to like us for who we really are. So then what happens? Over years and years and years, we get this distorted version of who we are. And we know who we are deep down. And it's usually when we're driving down the road and we get the smile on our face, right? We think about the things that we want to do and we want to accomplish. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. Well, why couldn't you? Right? You can't do it right now because your limiting belief system is telling you you can't. That's why we can't do it. So really, when we start working with attitude, working with this, with them, that really holds us in this cage, and we start to knock the walls out, and we knock the roof off of this limiting belief system, we start to do more. And when we do more, we feel better, right? We take action, we do these things. So it just keeps piling on. And so the thing I'll do with self-image is, I've been working on, and self-image changes all the time for everybody that's listening. Like, I've been working on this one self-image for over 75 days now, and I write about it every day. And I heard one of my colleagues say it, and she says, I wrote her and I became her, right? So we start writing about the person we want.
Oh,
The goal that we set for ourselves, that's 5, maybe. Oh, did we break up?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. And it was so good. Oh, geez. You guys have to reach out to me to hear some of it. But so self-image. Did you hear the part where I said about my colleague? She
Yeah,
wrote
where
her
you
and
said,
she became,
she wrote her and she became her. I like that.
right? And it's so powerful. And each and every one of us can do that, right? We can write about the person that we want to become. Our imagination, which is one of our faculties, it's what makes us human, to see us in the light that we want to see other people see us in, right? And we start writing about that person. How do we feel? How do we look? How do we talk? How do we walk? How do we interact with people? But how do people interact with us now?
Yeah.
Because we see big leaders, and we talk to leaders of multi-million dollar companies, and when we go up to them, sometimes we're nervous and we try to give them our best self, right? So like, how do people interact with you when you achieve that level of success, right? So you write that person over and over and over again, and you have some fun with it, and you become that person. And really what we do, and it's funny, memory is not just about the past. Memory can also be about the future. We can create future memories of the person we want to become. And with an attitude of gratitude and the attitude of expectancy of becoming that person,
Oh, we lost you
and all
again.
of a sudden we hit that level that, oh no,
Yeah,
oh, that's such a
it
bugger.
it seems to be breaking up a bit more. So I don't know whether
Yeah.
internet, but you've got some really great
Maybe it's telling
tidbits.
good tidbits. Yeah, maybe it's telling us it's time. It's time. You got to stop talking.
We could
Thank
talk
you.
all day though, and I mean, it's been
You know I can talk all day.
it's really awesome that you agreed to be my first video, and I'm quite honored that you did, and I'm very thankful that I joined the networking group that I did, and that we made the connection that we did. And you know, I have always said everything happens for a reason, and everybody is meant to be in your life for something. You're meant to meet those people,
Yeah.
and you helped me through a hard time that I was going through throughout my. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I had very serious surgery last like a year ago summer, and it took me quite some time to get through it, and that just pushed me down farther into that mental space that I didn't want to be in. And you helped bring it out. So I will forever be thankful for that. And now I'm on the path to bring business up to where I want it to be. So
I love it.
I'm very thankful for you.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And you said you're honored. I am so honored to be able to work with you. It's been an absolute pleasure. You give me chills. I get chills right now. You guys can't tell. The hair on the back of my neck is standing up right now. I feel it all over my body. So I appreciate the kind words, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to help you make a change in your life for the better. And that's what PMA coaching is all about. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for having me on and being your first contestant on Lisa's show. I love it.
It's still crazy that I'm doing this. I still think it's really funny. And I caught a glimpse of the live video when it started. And of course, it started when I'm like, seriously, because the dogs start barking. But you know what? That's me. So I don't want to be anything other than me. So that's what we've got.
You don't need to be because you're perfect. We're all perfect,
We are.
right? That's the biggest thing. We just have to learn to be ourselves.
Exactly. So
That's
I'm going to stop the live stream here. Thank you everybody who watched. If you have questions, I tagged, and I hope it tagged it properly, Matt's business page. If you want to get in contact with Matt about working with him, if you want to get in contact with me, you know how to get in contact with me. I'm looking for people who are interested in doing my new system that's supposed to make the whole mortgage application process easier for clients. And I'm so excited because it's been so cool so far. So once again, thank you again. And next time.
right on. Take care.
Okay, the live stream
Right
is
on.
stopped, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.